morning and happy Friday. Happy freaking Friday. I thought all day yesterday that it was Friday. It was not, it was Thursday. And I don't know if there's a more disappointing feeling than to think that you're already at the weekend and you are not. I've got some pretty big things that I've got to work on today. I've been working on a website for my job for several months now, and it is time. It is time to set it live. It is time to transfer the hosting and all that fun, exciting stuff. So I've got that going on today. I'm gonna wait until this evening to do it because it can take a few minutes to what is the word that I'm looking for? It's not gonna come to me. I haven't had enough coffee yet. But anyway, it can take a few minutes for things to catch up with the server. And so I don't wanna knock out emails or site traffic or anything like that when it's during the workday. So I'm kind of flip-flopping my workday. I usually work really early in the morning, but I'm gonna work this evening for that. I'm working with Danielle again. She's the host of the book ball that I just went to. She has a retreat coming up that I've arranged to send books to, so I need to get those signed and packaged up and shipped out. I'd like to do those today, if we can make that happen. And I've got a few other bits and bobs that need to get done. But for right now, I need to try to figure out the meals for our week and all of that. I also seem to have some type of eye infection, which is just not what you want. It's not what you want. And so I have a virtual doctor's appointment this morning to see if we can figure that out, because let's get that out of my system, please and thank you. Oh, while I'm sitting here, I'm noticing this, which if you are a millennial child, you'll know exactly what this is. Hold on. Why do we always have to put it on our chin to get it to work? But you see it, this is one of those old school fortune tellers. So I'm sitting at dinner the other night and my husband whips this out. Casually, just whips it out. And that sounded terrible, that my husband just casually whipped it out at dinner. You know what I mean though. And the options on it are fancy or casual. And I was like, I have an idea about what this is a reference to. I assume it was a fancy or casual meal. I chose casual. So he did the thing, and then it gives me the numbers. If you've done a fortune teller before, you know exactly what this is. Does the numbers again. And that was his way of asking me on a date for Saturday night for our anniversary, which is coming up next week. So that was super cute, really adorable. This coming, I don't know what date today is. Our anniversary is on the 22nd, and we will have been married for 14 years. This year, in August, we will have been together for 21 years, which is insane. That's crazy. Our relationship is a whole person that is old enough to drink. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, we've been together more of our lives than we lived without each other, which is kind of cool if you think about it. But yeah. So ever since doing that event last week, I've got the bug. I am keen to do any and all events. I loved it so much, getting to meet people and just kind of getting out in front of people. I like sharing on social media, but I don't love the concept of marketing on social media. I know I need to, it's a whole thing. I know, we'll get there. But it kind of opened my eyes to the idea of having some type of process in place. As far as being an indie author goes, it can be tricky to know how you're gonna attract readers and how you're gonna meet people, and social media is a big part of that, yes, but I don't want that to be the only part, if that makes any sense. I don't want to do everything from in here in my house. It was really fun to put a person to who I'm talking to at any given point, whether it's on TikTok or here on Instagram, wherever. And I can't control who sees my stuff on social media. A social media post can get 5 views or it can get 5 million views. There's absolutely very little rhyme or reason to how any of that actually works. And so, I mean, I know it's a risk with vendor events too, because you never know how many people are going to come to your table or whatever, but I just feel like it's more of a reliable process. At least it's one that makes me feel more comfortable, if that makes any sense. And so I've kind of made it a point that I wanted to look to see different opportunities to set up a table. I'm talking from like big book conventions to like setting up a table outside of like a coffee shop or inside of a coffee shop if they would allow me to, and just kind of partnering with different local boutiques and things like that to try to get, I don't know, some face-to-face opportunities. Now, I will say for like the bigger conventions, I am an indie published author strictly through Amazon. So this was years ago, but I initially published with like Create Space. I think it's called something different now, but essentially I used the Amazon publishing platform. Both my paperback and my ebook are through Amazon. Now, for some of these bigger book conventions, you have to have a third-party publisher, like distributor, that isn't Amazon. That's also the case like if you're trying to get into certain bookstores, if you're trying to get into a library, they like to see that the distributor is not Amazon. So I am also going to be in the process of publishing through Ingram Sparks. Initially, I'm just going to publish the print book through Ingram Spark. I will eventually probably take the ebook wide, especially as I'm preparing to launch my 3rd book is probably when I'll take the ebooks wide, take them out of Kindle Unlimited, so that I can use like BookFunnel to do some advanced reader copies and things like that for the 3rd book and trying to just try to get some traction that way. But in preparing for some vendor events, I've already found a couple in the area, and in doing my research, there's no rhyme or reason to whether a vendor event is going to support an indie author or not. Some don't allow indie authors. There seems to be no guideline. So before like registering for the event and paying the vendor fee, I wanted to like reach out to see if that's something that they would support. And I actually just got connected with one woman for one event, and she's like, well, we actually have much bigger markets coming up too if you want information for that. So I'm excited that like, I thought I was mainly gonna be looking to do more vendor events, maybe like the fall, winter, and next spring, because I felt like this summer was probably a little too late. But some of these events are even this summer. And so if I'm gonna do like these types of vendor events, I need like a tent and table. I know my mom has a table, but look what I just found. I found pink tent. How cute would that be? So if I'm gonna do vendor events, especially soon, there are a few things I need to do first, and I'm probably gonna make a little to-do list right now. Kind of get all this in order so I don't forget. Let's put this in. So when I have like things I need to very quickly remember, I use reminders on my phone. All right, so the first thing I'll need to do is get a tent, secure table, which I'm pretty sure my mom has, tablecloth. I do need to order like a table runner, which I'm planning to do through Vistaprint, or we might try to DIY one with my sister's Cricut, but I have to do some research on that before I make that. We'll need inventory. I have tent, secure table runner, tablecloth runner, and then I'll need like display items, like things to make things interesting, and perhaps like marketing collateral. So things that people could take, like one sheets if they don't decide to buy at that time, but just to try to get some branding out there. But I think that's a good initial list. Tent, table, tablecloth, table runner, inventory, and then like table display items. That's exciting. I think I'm just gonna approach this phase of like my book business the same way that I approached the first few months of my client servicing business, which was God, this was like 2016. I basically gave myself a mission to collect so many no's from clients. And it took me a very long time to get to 50 no's, because what I was finding is I would contact people and I would somehow or another establish some type of meaningful connection with them that wasn't a no. So whether it was that they were hiring me for my service, or they were looking to partner and collaborate with one another, they were looking to add me to like their white label vendor list. Like, I ended up, I think it took me a year to collect 50 no's, but I ended up collecting a heck of a lot more yeses in that process. I found that to be like a really productive motivator, because it took the fear out of it. Instead of trying to like go after a yes and being afraid of getting the no, I went in expecting the no. Not that I was expecting the no, but I went in knowing what my mission was. And so if I got the no, then that was one more no that I've collected. But what I ended up finding was it was a great system to establish some confidence, because I was getting yeses far more often than I was getting no's. And so obviously this is a little bit different, but I think for right now, my intention is just to like, I think I'm gonna have a goal of that I would like to participate in X number of vendor events by this time next year, and not worry so much whether or not they're successful, but to just sort of like get practiced in setting up and getting in front of people and like knowing what I would need to say at these vendor events, get acquainted with vendor party hosts, and just sort of get that ball rolling. And I'm excited. Gonna light a candle, pour a glass of wine, dress up a frozen pizza, and act like my son hasn't been yelling at me all day long. All day. I don't know what's going on with the toddlers, but the toddlers are mad. They're mad. They're big mad. And I am this close to losing my ever-living mind. You gotta love Aldi wine. Remember when Trader Joe's wine used to be $2? Used to call it $2 check. Oh, the good old days. Nothing is $2 anymore. Is that too big of a glass? Probably. I don't really care. I did manage to pack the order that I need to send out, but I did not get to the post office, mainly because I really didn't feel like having to navigate the post office with a heavy box and an ornery toddler. If he was in a better mood, I probably would have tried it. We did not try it. I'll go tomorrow when he can hang out with my husband while I run up to the post office. We really like the Aldi Mamakaze thin crust pizzas. I also like their regular crust, like the Mamakaze ones. I just use pepperoni for Jonathan and Wade, but I like olives and onions on mine. So I'm gonna add olives and onions to my pepperoni pizza. My kid is currently outside with his dad. I did really appreciate it. So my husband, I think I've shared this before, my husband's a football coach. His schedule can be pretty erratic. The school he's at right now is probably the most like balanced schedule we've ever had. We've been doing this a long time. I say we, but if you are a coach's wife, then you know it's very much a we situation. I may not coach anyone how to throw a ball, but I have certainly made sacrifices for the love of the game. And he called and he was like, hey, there's an event out in one of the high schools tonight. I wanted to check the temperature of things at home before I decided whether or not I was gonna go. I was like, you're not going. First of all, it's just been a long week in general. Just returning from being out of town last week, I feel like I've been doing a lot more catch up than normal. Not to mention I was also very sleep deprived. And so just starting the week on that foot was a little tricky. And then obviously I had like that big website project kind of looming all week. And then now having it done, getting the site migrated, which I did do, by the way. I obviously didn't show you guys because that's a very boring process to show the internet, but the website is migrated and I'm very proud. There's some kinks that I have to work out for the mobile version of it. Curious if anyone else who works in websites finds that to be true, that like you might have the desktop version down exactly how you want it, but no matter how detailed you are, somehow or another the mobile version always comes out a little bit wonky. So I'll fine tune that next week. But for right now, the site is live and email is fully propagated. So that was really quick because sometimes it can take like 72 hours for something like that to propagate. So I'm very happy with that. Very relieved that it all worked out. We've been working on this project since December, so very glad to have that stage done. Oh, I did hear back from that one vendor host, and she let me know what other events they have going on this summer. So I think I'm gonna do them. I think I'm just gonna do them and kind of get more practiced in talking to people and connecting with people, and things seem to be going sideways outside. That's probably not what you want. Okay, I just kind of wanted to check that situation and see what's going on. But anyway, yeah, I think I'm just gonna do it and not really like let myself think too much about the success rate of it and just do it and let myself enjoy that process. I have really been trying to like get to the root of where the fear I have comes from. And I kind of worked through it in my journal the other night, where I think it was really just this fear of fooling myself into thinking I could do this. And it's one thing to like put a book out there to people who somewhat know you and or do really know you and love you and are going to support you no matter what, and kind of like be kind with your feelings. And I think I've mentioned here before, I went to school for writing. I was a creative writing concentration. I was gonna say major, that's not true. I was an English major with a creative writing concentration. And the way that kind of program works, at least where I went to school, is we did short stories pretty often, and you would print enough copies for all of your classmates. They would take your story, go home, read it, critique it, and then we would workshop it where they would talk about the story for the entire class period as if you're not standing in the room. And the purpose for that is, which is true, when you become a published author, it's not like you're sitting on the couch next to the person reading the book explaining to them what you meant by certain things, or how you want the story to be interpreted, or what point you're trying to get across. The story has to stand on its own two legs. And so it kind of gets you practiced in understanding what you're writing and what it's translating to. And I didn't have the best experience in that major. I'm pretty sure that every other week I would come home from my workshops and decide that I was gonna leave my major. I loved writing. I've loved writing my whole life. And it wasn't even necessarily my writing that they were critiquing. It was more my stories. They would dissect the fact that they were what they would call like fluffy, or this was during a time where the term chick lit was still acceptable. And so a lot of what I wrote in my class was being categorized as that, and they wouldn't take me very seriously. And then they'd get off on tangents that had nothing to do with my story. And it was really disheartening and frustrating. Like when I say that, I mean, I had a story once that the main character's name was Dexter, and they spent the whole class period talking about Dexter's Laboratory. Like that was gonna be helpful to my writing career. I just didn't get taken seriously because I was in a class full of people who wanted to be the next Faulkner, and I really just wanted to be the next Beach Read. And I was okay wanting to be the next Beach Read, but they made that wrong. And so because of that, I think I've just really existed in this space of I'm not good enough and my stories aren't, quote, important enough. And I don't need necessarily my stories to be important. I need my stories to be captivating and entertaining and engaging. And the cool thing is I have heard from people that my stories are important, especially for the teenage parents, are getting an understanding of what these teenagers are going through, how they're feeling in the moment, and it's having an impact in that way. And that is enough for me. Like that's more than enough for me. I'm happy with that. And so I kind of got to the root of where that fear came from, is that like I was afraid to get my work in front of people for fear that it was going to be, I don't know, categorized as unimportant or not good. It could very well not be good. And it may not be good to some people. I think that's all up for interpretation and subject to opinion for sure. But I do have to remind myself that I had a situation last year where my work got in front of a lot of people that don't know me. And that could have gone one of two ways. It could have gone horribly wrong, or if it was good, it could go horribly right. And I'm choosing to believe that these people are not just being kind to me, that the work can stand on its own two legs. And I'm gonna let that fuel some confidence this summer and allow me to attend some vendor events. I am going to put my pizza in the oven now.
Tell me, baby, what have I done?
Yes, but it's easier to
Good grief, it is so humid outside that I fear in the next hour or so I will be able to rival Monica when they're in Barbados. We are on our way just basically to eat up the afternoon. We're gonna go try to make some returns at Kohl's for Amazon products. And before you get too excited and be like, oh, Joey, what did you buy? Toilet seats. If you're wondering how many toilet seats it takes to fully equip one toilet in our house for that like flip toddler seat, so far the answer is 3. TBD if it will be more than that. This is where my life has taken me. Did I ever think I'd be the person returning toilet seats to Kohl's? No. But we are gonna go and snatch my mama up on the way. We haven't told her yet, but I've yet to ever see my mom turn down a trip to Kohl's. So we're gonna go do that for the afternoon, pretty much just to eat up the afternoon, because those hours between waking up from nap time and dinner, for me, are some of the hardest hours of the day. I don't know if they are for anybody else, but they are for me, and it's just a matter of survival. And I find that we all fare a little bit better if we are not in the house. This evening, one of Jonathan's friends is going to come by the house and hang with the tot so we can go out for our anniversary, which I'm very excited about. And anniversary! I was planning on vlogging more today, but I have honestly been curled up either on the couch or in my bed reading most of the day. I did clean the bathrooms, the ones that I didn't get to in my last vlog. I did clean those bathrooms, and I did like take a shower and at least blow dry my hair, but my existence is like desperate for rest right now, and so I'm listening. I was realizing like as I was crawling into bed to like lay down and read for a little bit more, I was like, you know, sometimes my life looks like a whirlwind trip to Michigan where I attend a book ball, and sometimes I spend the whole day laying in bed reading a book. And I'm not mad at that existence. That existence sounds primo to me. I'd be happy. rinse and repeat over and over and over again, as much as the universe will allow. But yes, so we are on our way to go eat up the afternoon, and when I get back, I'm going to very quickly get ready and go on a date with my husband. So we will end this video off with a little montage, and I'm gonna go ahead and sign off, like talking to you here. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I appreciate you, and I'm glad that you're along for the ride, wherever this ride takes us. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. According to my metrics, there are more of you that watch these videos that are not subscribed than are. So if you would go ahead and hit that subscribe button, I'd be really grateful. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I don't really know why, but it's a goal I have in mind. So I'd appreciate it if you could help me get there. And that's gonna be it for me today, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Let's do a montage.